Hello, friends. James Stevenson back with another edition of What is James Tweeting Today? Let me show you. So earlier today, I sent out a tweet thread with some charts that I updated today. So let me take you backwards through time on a journey to July 23rd, 2020, when one of the most famous generalissimos of the Tesla Q movement, the army of short sellers and people who hate Tesla, sent out a thread recapping the earnings call that Tesla had had the day before, covering Q2 2020, featuring some charts that Tesla Charts made. That's the shtick of the Tesla Charts account, is that that's where to go if you want to find misleading charts. Not misleading, I mean selectively chosen charts that usually feature factual data. So what I wanted to do was to update these charts, since Tesla Charts has not updated them since the middle of 2020. I figured I would do a public service for people who want to know what the actuals were that have occurred since. So in this first visual, I'll make this big so we can see it and talk about it. TC had said back on July 23rd, 2020, shenanigans and FUD and disproven myths about accounting problems, blah, blah, blah. In a post-truth world, this is growth. Okay, so what's the chart show here? It shows on a scale of 0 to $8 billion that Tesla's revenue in Q2 of 2020 wasn't any higher than it had been in some previous quarters. So the impression you are meant to be left with here is that Tesla is unable to grow revenue. Well, let's check over here on the right and see what the actuals are since then. So you got the same bars shown here through Q2 of 2020. This one is the one that's red on the left. Then every single quarter since, every bar has been more than the tallest bar on this chart. And in 5 out of 6 of these quarters, the revenue has been an all-time high for any quarter ever. So that's what Tesla's revenue has been doing since then. The growth stalled for a bit because the Alameda County Health Department shut down the Fremont factory for 6 weeks during Q2 of 2020. That's the commentary that you don't find in this thread. And the Shanghai Gigafactory was still ramping in the middle of 2020. They're doing a lot more production and deliveries out of that factory today than they were back then, as you can see on the updated chart over here. So let's keep going. I figured, why stop after the first tweet in TC's thread? Why not just go ahead and do the whole thread? So good, bad, or indifferent, I'm updating all of the charts in this thread. They're not all going to tell the same story, but let's look at this next one. Quarterly research and development expense. Now, what was TC trying to tell his legion of followers at the time? Tesla's allegedly on the cusp of developing level 5 autonomy, building a new electric semi-roadster Cybertruck, creating breakthrough solar technology, developing a million-mile battery, yet they've cut R&D to levels not seen since 2016. So what's this chart trying to show? It's trying to show declining research and development spending every quarter. What do the actuals say? Well, on the chart on the right, you can see that the research and development spending went up right away after Q2 of 2020, when, who knows, management may have decided that there were some expenses they could defer out of that quarter into a future quarter, or what have you. But over $500 million worth of spending in every other quarter since Q3 of 2020. So hopefully TC feels a lot better now that Tesla is investing appropriate spending in research and development efforts. Let's go to the third tweet in this thread and look at solar megawatts of production. So the story on this chart is that Tesla was deploying less and less solar panels and solar roof tiles, which were not really around years ago when these high levels were happening. So these were before the merger of SolarCity and Tesla. So the SolarCity business model had a big promotional offer where they fronted you the money for the solar panels and then held that debt on their balance sheet while you paid them back over a long period of time for those solar panels. Now, when Tesla took over SolarCity, they discontinued that promotional offer because that leaves a lot of debt on your balance sheet. And Tesla, as we know, has been paying down their debt to a very low level today. So when that promotional offer went away, that was one less very powerful incentive for people to get solar tiles or solar panels put on their roof. So the point of this chart was to make it appear as though the solar business was going to deteriorate down to nothing. Well, it hasn't exactly skyrocketed upwards, but you can see this was Q2 of 2020. And every single quarter since has been a lot higher than that. Most of them over 50 megawatts deployed. I did leave a note in this thread that I forgot to update the label on this y-axis. It's not dollars and it's not billions, it's megawatts deployed. So let's move on to the next tweet in the thread. In tweet 4 of TC's thread, he focused on the Tesla Energy quarterly revenue metric. So what story or what trend was TC trying to show here that Tesla Energy's revenues were falling? Well, what have the actuals been since then? Every single quarter since then, the Tesla Energy revenue has been more than any of these bars shown from 2018, 2019, or the first half of 2020, with 4 all-time record highs since. In somewhat of a seasonal business, it's also dependent upon the availability of cells to be able to sell large format storage systems, et cetera. All right, let's move on to the last tweet in my thread here. I'll show you, now this is going to be hard to read if you're viewing this on a phone, so I'll read it out to you. Even with all the accounting games, this is where the FUD comes in from the short sellers and the haters. Warranty reserves, refusing to repair cars, charging customers for software they didn't buy, come on. Yeah, selling full self-driving vaporware. So TC thought that full self-driving would never improve, never get better, never drive itself without interventions. You can find videos all over YouTube of people going on long drives today on FSD beta with no interventions. The underlying core of Tesla's business loses money net of regulatory credits. Now, what's this shenanigan? He's talking about accounting problems up here. What's this metric he's talking about? Tesla GAAP net income minus automotive regulatory credits. Well, if that doesn't sound like a metric you've ever seen before in an accounting textbook or on a financial website for other companies, it's because he made it up. It's a totally made up bogus metric. You're not allowed to just take bottom line earnings and then subtract the most profitable kind of revenue from that. That's not a real thing. But I played along to be nice, just to let my followers know what would this metric look like if TC had kept updating the chart and publishing it. And what you see is the next 3 quarters would be negative using this bogus metric. And then after that, it pops up to 3 growing green columns. And the reason I had to shrink this down so much was to get the scale to be the same. What you can see here is that I've tried to match on every one of these slides as closely as I possibly can the scale from the chart on the left to the chart on the right, so that you can compare the areas of these bars and they'll be the same, or at minimum, the heights of the bars were the same. I couldn't quite get the width exactly right to fit the page, but look at all these earnings, even after subtracting the automotive regulatory credits revenue over here. And what does TC say at the end? Anybody who says Tesla is a technology leader, a growth company, or a profitable business is either knowingly lying or incredibly lazy. Oh, isn't that cute? Well, the facts tell a different story about Tesla's revenue and profit growth. All right, I want to keep these videos short. So what I will say is, if you've enjoyed this video, click the like button. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.